Hiya folks, just a quick update from yesterday's video. I'm just looking at the yen pairs here. Dollar yen dropped off quite sharply yesterday and actually broken down through this pattern. So I kind of like this, and even though we bounced up a little bit today, so we have actually broken out of this ascending triangle to the downside, which is unusual. Probably a 70% chance of it breaking up, but on this occasion we broke down. And the next target's all the way down at about 145 to 146. So you can see the dollar index actually formed this sort of false breakout and broke down 2 big days in a row yesterday, just touching into that moving average cluster and bouncing back up again. I continue to favor the long side on the dollar though, only slightly, so we'll see how we go from here. Anyway, so we have nothing on the other currency majors, and we did have a short on the euro yen. That was stopped out at that spike at 164.91, and our stop loss was at 164.90. Well, so be it, that's trading. We've dropped right back down again. We'll be looking to short this once more. We also took profit on the Australian dollar long trade that we got into at the bottom here. We got out yesterday, so halfway through this block. Obviously, we had a big drop in the stock markets yesterday. We are short on Nasdaq, S&P, and NVDA, so those all look good. We're also long on Apple and on Tesla. Tesla held up pretty well, and Apple's been stuck in a sort of $3 range for about 2 weeks now, so that's not very exciting. It's good to see that these two didn't move down along with the Nasdaq and the S&P. So as it turns out, we're really well positioned, and with a bit of luck, these will carry on moving lower. We've now got both the Nasdaq and the S&P closing beneath the 20-day moving average. That's the green line on these charts. We need to see 2 days in a row below the 20-period moving average. That's the green line. That normally sets off a continuation in that direction. Same thing on NVIDIA now. We've had 3, almost 4 days below the 20 SMA, which is also very good news. Not much else to say on stocks, but we'll have to see how this first week in the second quarter plays out, I suppose, today. And with a bit of luck, these will continue. On gold, we went short just a 15% position at 2,300 precisely, allowing for a move up to 2,320. Could actually get a little bit higher, maybe 2,340 before we move down. I don't mind the breakout through the channel top if we've got to do that. We've seen that recently on uranium, exactly the same thing. I'll show you that to you shortly. And we're potentially seeing it on Brent crude oil right now. So we short with a very small position at 2,300, willing to add at 2,320, the larger portion, and looking for a move back down to the center line of this channel. So I've got some of the energy commodities here and cocoa. I want to show you something quickly on URA, which you'll remember probably if you were trading this breakout through the top of the channel. It turned out to be a false break. Too much hype, too much FOMO. We broke through it, fell back, broke through the second time, fell back down, and then moved back down to the bottom of the channel. I'm thinking we could see the same sort of thing on gold. And I'm also, while we're here, thinking we could see the same sort of thing on WTI. I put a tweet up on this comparison between WTI and uranium on Twitter, on X, just a few minutes ago, so you can go and check that out. But have a look at how similar this is to the uranium chart that I showed you earlier. An upsloping channel, breakout through the top. And remember what uranium did, it broke back into the channel, back up again, a slightly higher high through the top of the channel again. But then after that, we moved down to the bottom of the channel. So that's what I'm hoping for on WTI and indeed on gold too. We're short on WTI. I haven't added any more positions to this yet. I've only got a 45% position on WTI. And I've now got a 50% position on natural gas. We actually just added some right at the bottom of this previous candle. Let's have a look at this more closely. We've now got 50% on. We're holding above these moving averages. My average price is 1.76. We're at 1.79 now, so just a tiny bit in profit. I'm hoping for a move to $2, $2.15, $2.20, and maybe $2.35 to $2.40. If I show you this on the day chart, there's the gap that I pointed out previously in yesterday's video. The top of the gap's at around about $2.32 to $2.40, and the bottom of the gap's at $2.15. So I'm hoping for a move up to $2, the big round number, that's this previous swing high, the bottom of this gap at $2.15, or the top of the gap from $2.30 to $2.40. In that region there, it's a little bit messy, it's hard to pick a clear level. We're still long on URA and UEC. UEC pulled back quite sharply yesterday, but we're in some profit on this still. There's our green arrow at the bottom where we got in. And URA, we're still in profit as well, as I pointed out in yesterday's video. Cocoa, for those of you who are trading this short, this might be a FOMO play now. And we had this move up, sharp move down. 2 bearish candles in a row. We've seen that before. 2 bearish candles there, 2 bearish candles here, 3 there, 3 there, 2 there, and now we've got 2, followed by yesterday's slightly bullish candle. I'm hoping that FOMO is now kicked in and that perhaps we've got a top in at around about 10,300. We've not moved anyway today so far, so there's not much else to be said at this point. And going across to this page, the only thing I want to talk about today is Bitcoin, and we're still long from about this current price. We've got these blobs beneath us where I'm willing to buy into as long as we're above 50,000 roughly, maybe slightly below that if need be, but I hope not. We should see this carrying on up. This channel that I drew in earlier is now no longer valid really, so perhaps we can move that, and I'm just going to drag it out to the bottom of that move. And that gives us another decent support level for Bitcoin if we have to visit here. That's around about 59,000, call it 60. So I'm going to pull this along here because as we go along, we're just going sideways and we're not moving down. So I'm going to keep on dragging these around. So these are the sorts of levels that I consider buying further into Bitcoin. I've only got a very small position. If this moves in my favor, I'll do pretty well. If it doesn't, I've got plenty of room to add. So those are the sorts of areas.